The 2019 NFL season is right around the corner. The preseason games have already started, which begs the question, have you drafted your fantasy football team yet? If not, well, you're in luck. CBS Sports' second annual Fantasy Football Today Telethon kicks off later today. It has all the best last-minute analysis. Will Brinson is a CBS Sports senior NFL writer who obviously just got back from Vegas and the World Poker Championships, as you can tell from his outfit there. The shades, the hat, it's perfect, man. It's just perfect. So tell us, what can we expect from this year's telethon?
Yeah, so last year's telethon, we raised over $13,000 to benefit St. Jude. It's a great cause. A lot of athletes are going to be here, former NFL players, as well as a bunch of our writers, and Danny Cannell, Bryant McFadden will be in here. We're answering phones all throughout the day. This year is an 80s theme. Last year I got to wear my white dinner jacket that I wore at my wedding. Unfortunately, dropped a little coffee on it at the end there. But this year we get to go 80s, and so I got the members only, the aviators and the hat. A lot of Danny Cannell's dressed up in an Adidas jumpsuit, but the goal is to have a good time, raise some money, and answer some fantasy questions and help people win their leagues. Okay, I like it. You didn't want to do the big parachute pants or anything like that, I guess. So, all right, maybe more of a Magnum PI vibe is what I'm going for. I like that. That was the 80s. I gotta find a fake mustache laying around here. Okay, I see it. All right, so some more advice now. What's the biggest mistake do you think that people make in their drafts? Well, I think the biggest mistake that people make in 2019 is thinking they need to get that quarterback early, because there are roughly like 25 quarterbacks from Patrick Mahomes all the way down to Josh Allen who you can use every week in and week out. You can rotate guys. Superstars like Ben Roethlisberger are sitting out there that you can grab late. Kirk Cousins is laying on the waiver wire. He puts up big fantasy numbers. And with the way that the running backs and the wide receivers are tiered, there are only a few elite guys at each position. So the move is to go ahead and scoop those guys up and wait on the quarterback, tight end, another position. Only like 6 or so guys who are truly top tier that you may want to jump onto. Here, Colin Kaepernick is available. He is. I don't know that you would want to draft him for the fantasy purposes, because then you would probably end up scoring 0 points, as he will not likely be on a roster come week one. They will not play him, will they? They still won't play him. All right, get out of politics here for a second. What do you think some of the best strategies, though, are for avoiding those mistakes that you mentioned? What should people do? Yeah, so if you have one of the first 4 picks, you're probably grabbing one of the top running backs: Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. The consensus number 1, Barkley is. I like to go wide receiver, because you can grab two top tier guys. Like if you're down at the bottom of the first round or even in the middle, you could come away with Julio Jones and Odell Beckham as cornerstones of your roster, and then supplement it with running backs that people are a little more down on. Maybe a guy like Marlon Mack in the 3rd round, Leonard Fournette if he falls. Kerryon Johnson, he's been going in the 2nd round a little bit more frequently, but those are guys that can be RB1s, your number 1 running back, and you can get it at a discounted price and really end up having a big year if they succeed the way we think they might. The other thing to do is take shots on running backs late. There are a bunch of dudes out there like Rashad Penny, who's the technical backup for the Seahawks, Darrell Henderson, who's behind Todd Gurley but could be a great player if he plays well. And then I like to avoid I got a list of guys that do not draft, right? Like Melvin Gordon, he's got a holdout that might last into the season. Zeke Elliott, there's some concerns about. I'm not drafting Antonio Brown because I just have a strict policy about taking guys who burn their, who melt their feet in cryptotherapy chambers, and so I've got those guys on my do not draft list. But other than that, I think wide receiver is a good start. Yeah, that's a big strikeout for me too. That kind of behavior. Do you have any other sleepers you want to give us tips on? One guy that I think is surprisingly falling is Justin Jackson. He's the, 3rd string running back for the Chargers. He's sitting there with Melvin Gordon holding out. It's expected to last into the regular season. You can get him in the 8, 9, 10 round range, maybe a little bit earlier now that the holdout seems to be extending a bit. I think he's going to have a big season. James Washington for the Steelers is a good number 2 wide receiver for Pittsburgh that can end up having a nice year. And then I'd be remiss remiss if I didn't mention my guy Jalen Samuels for Pittsburgh. I think he's a running back at NC State. He's a guy that they can move around, use out of the backfield. He's a great red zone threat. 26 targets last year, 3 touchdowns. I think they're going to use him to soak up some of those missing targets from Antonio Brown and really make him a true red zone threat. I think he has a big year.
All right, Will, I can't let you go without asking about my Denver Broncos. What do you think about Joe Flacco's outlook?
Hey, you picked the right guy to talk to. I'm the only guy on the Broncos bandwagon. I think 2 things when I look at Denver, 2 big coaching changes. One, of course, Vic Fangio they hired as the head coach now. Look at the defenses he's engineered around the league. I mean, this is a guy that just gets great defenses, and they have the pieces. Bradley Chubb is a budding superstar. Von Miller, of course, one of the best players in the league. And then the one coaching move that's flying under the radar for me, or flying under the radar for everybody else, I'm really onto it. I think is Mike Munchak as their offensive line coach. This is a guy that got Pittsburgh to run a well-oiled machine down there. They have enough talent in Denver to operate a good run game. I think Royce Freeman, Phillip Lindsay will execute well, and that sets up good for Joe Flacco to really throw downfield on play action. If Emmanuel Sanders is back and healthy and playing at full steam, I think this offense can be a little sneaky good.
Yep, and that defense is tough. I mean, Vaughn is Chubb's biggest fan, so that tells you a lot. Will, thanks a lot. Good talking with you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you can watch the 2019 Fantasy Football Today Telethon starting at noon Eastern on CBS Sports HQ.